Horoscope analysis, the Kendra and Kona aspects with conjunctions Taurus Rising. Moon in the first house, Taurus, exalted, conjunct Jupiter enhances charm, grace, and wisdom in the Lagna. Moon rules the third, a mild Dusthana, and Jupiter rules the 8th and 11th, both trick or Upachaya houses. According to Rule 9, Jupiter, as 8th lord, can disturb the first unless it owns a Kendra or Kona or is in its own sign. It owns neither here, and though Moon is exalted, its third lordship doesn't counterbalance. Hence, while this conjunction creates emotional intelligence and social magnetism, it may bring inner volatility or health sensitivity unless supported by benefics or own house placement. Sun in the 4th house, Leo, own sign, conjunct Mercury forms Buddha Aditya Yoga in a Kendra. Sun rules the 4th, Kendra. Mercury rules the 2nd and 5th, Artha and Kona. Rule 8 applies perfectly. None of these planets own trick houses, and the conjunction of a Kendra and Kona lord in a Kendra enhances intellectual brilliance, domestic leadership, and mental peace. Their aspect on the 10th boosts career visibility and intellectual recognition. This is highly auspicious for teaching, leadership in real estate, or heritage management. Mars in the 9th house, Capricorn, exalted, conjunct Jupiter empowers dharma and life philosophy. Mars rules the 7th and 12th. Jupiter rules the 8th and 11th. Jupiter is again a trick lord, and by Rule 9, unless it also owns a Kendra Kona or occupies its own sign, it may disturb the 9th. Here, it doesn't own a Kendra or Kona, nor is it in its own sign, so Jupiter may create conflict or overextension in belief systems. However, Mars being exalted and a Kendra Lord 7th provides stabilizing support, making this conjunction intense, ambitious, and karmically transformative in spiritual or legal domains. Saturn in the 10th house, Aquarius, conjunct Moon brings emotional discipline and professional endurance. Saturn rules the 9th and 10th, Kona and Kendra. Moon rules the 3rd. Rule 8 strongly applies. Saturn, as a Kendra and Kona lord, uplifts the house it occupies and aspects. Despite Moon being a mild malefic by 3rd ownership, Saturn's dual rulership ensures the 10th house gains maturity, responsibility, and public recognition. Their aspect on the 4th might add emotional restraint in family life, but it strengthens roots through resilience. Venus in the 1st house, Taurus, own sign, conjunct Sun blends vitality and artistic charisma in the Lagna. Venus rules the 1st and 6th. Sun rules the 4th. Venus, as Lagna and 6th lord, partly triggers Rule 9, since the 6th is a trick house. However, as the 1st lord, its presence in own sign offers protection. Sun as 4th lord adds emotional and domestic strength. Because both are in a Kendra and one is Lagna lord in own sign, the conjunction enhances attractiveness, refinement, and home-centered pride with manageable ego challenges. Mercury in the 5th house, Virgo, own sign, conjunct Mars sharpens intelligence and competitive drive in a Kona. Mercury rules the 2nd and 5th, Artha and Kona. Mars rules the 7th and 12th, Kendra and Trick. Rule 9 applies to Mars due to 12th ownership, but its Kendra rulership of the 7th offsets this. Mercury is dignified in own sign. This conjunction heightens analytical and strategic faculties useful in finance, writing, or law. Their aspect on the 11th supports intellectual earnings and competitive gains, though emotional control may be required. Jupiter in the 11th house, Pisces, own sign, conjunct Venus fuses spiritual abundance with relational aesthetics. Jupiter rules the 8th and 11th, Venus rules 1st and 6th. Both have trick ownership, 8th and 6th, and as per Rule 9, they could disturb the 11th unless they also own a Kendra Kona or are in their own signs. Jupiter is in its own sign, creating an exception. Venus is in a friendly sign. This conjunction becomes a mixed blessing, great for artistic income, esoteric learning, and spiritual healing, but can produce overindulgence in social expectations or escapism if unbalanced. Saturn in the 9th house, Capricorn, exalted, conjunct Mercury builds philosophical reasoning and mature guidance. Saturn rules 9th and 10th, Kona and Kendra. Mercury rules 2nd and 5th, Artha and Kona. Rule 8 applies robustly. Both planets own strong houses and do not rule trick ones. This pairing in a Kona elevates dharmic stability and supports careers in governance, teaching, or publishing. Their aspect on the 3rd supports calculated communication and disciplined courage. Highly stabilizing for long-term success and ethical reputation. Horoscope analysis. The Kendra and Kona aspects with conjunctions, Virgo Rising. Mercury in the first house, Virgo own sign, conjunct Sun forms Buddha Aditya Yoga, empowering intellect, self-expression, and vitality. Mercury rules the Lagna and 10th, Kendra. Sun rules the 12th. Rule 8 fully supports Mercury's uplifting effect, being both Lagna and Kendra Lord. Rule 9 applies to Sun due to 12th ownership, but its conjunction with a strong Kendra Lord like Mercury mitigates disturbance. This conjunction enhances analytical thinking, communication skills, and career visibility. Their aspect on the 7th house brings eloquence and professionalism in partnerships. Moon in the 11th house, Cancer own sign, conjunct Venus enhances emotional networking and refined gains. Moon rules the 11th, Venus rules the 2nd and 9th. Rule 8 applies well. Venus, as a Kona and Artha Lord, uplifts the Upachaya house. Moon in own sign adds emotional intelligence and social magnetism. This conjunction supports wealth through beauty, healing, design, or women-led communities. Their aspect on the 5th promotes creativity, popularity, and gain through artistic or emotionally intelligent ventures. Mars in the 9th house, Taurus, conjunct Jupiter brings strong belief systems and philosophical drive. Mars rules the 3rd and 8th, both trick houses. Jupiter rules 4th and 7th, both Kendras. Rule 9 flags Mars as a double trick lord. Thus it tends to disturb unless dignified. Here, it does not own a Kona or sit in its own sign, so it may bring stubborn belief structures or power struggles. Jupiter as a double Kendra lord uplifts the 9th house and mitigates disturbance. This conjunction favors bold teachers, reformers, or spiritual strategists if properly supported. Saturn in the 7th house, Pisces, conjunct Mercury creates a serious and responsible tone in relationships. Saturn rules the 5th and 6th. Mercury rules the Lagna and 10th. Rule 9 applies to Saturn, though it owns the 6th, Trick. It also rules the 5th, Kona, offering an exception. Mercury is a strong Lagna, Kendra Lord. Their pairing in the 7th supports mature partnerships, long-term contracts, and business diplomacy. Their aspect on Lagna gives a thoughtful, reserved demeanor with practical communication skills. Sun in the 12th house, Leo own sign, conjunct Venus fuses luxury and spiritual depth in a Dusthana. Sun rules the 12th, Venus rules 2nd and 9th. Rule 9 highlights Sun's potential for disturbance, but being an own sign reduces harm. Venus, as a Kona and Artha Lord, uplifts this house by giving refined spending habits, charitable inclinations, and interest in foreign aesthetics. Their aspect on the 6th improves work-life balance, competition in creative fields, and diplomatic resolution of conflicts. Jupiter in the 4th house, Sagittarius own sign, conjunct Moon stabilizes the emotional base and enhances education and domestic peace. Jupiter rules the 4th and 7th, Kendras. Moon rules the 11th. Rule 8 confirms Jupiter's full power here, uplifting the 4th house with nourishment, ethics, and real estate fortune. Moon adds emotional security and popularity. Their aspect on the 10th house supports public leadership, teaching, or medicine. This conjunction is highly auspicious for counselors, educators, or empathetic administrators. Mars in the 8th house, Aries own sign, conjunct Saturn signifies transformative endurance and controlled aggression. Mars rules the 3rd and 8th, Saturn rules 5th and 6th. Rule 9 flags both Mars and Saturn as partial full trick lords. Saturn gains some relief through 5th ownership, Mars less so. However, Mars in own sign gives power over adversity. Their presence in the 8th house creates strong investigative and survival skills, ideal for researchers, healers, or those in occult or crisis professions. Mercury in the 10th house, Gemini, own sign, conjunct Venus elevates career clarity and graceful communication. Mercury rules the Lagna and 10th. Venus rules 2nd and 9th. Rule 8 applies completely. No trick ownership, with both planets ruling Kendra, Kona, and Artha houses. Their conjunction in the 10th brings intellectual fame, artistic careers, and diplomatic leadership. Their aspect on the 4th blesses domestic harmony and real estate potential. Strong for writers, educators, consultants, or designers with public presence. Horoscope analysis, the Kendra and Kona aspects with conjunctions, Capricorn Rising. Saturn in the 1st house, Capricorn own sign, conjunct Mercury shapes a serious, strategic, and intellectually sharp personality. Saturn rules the Lagna and 2nd Artha. Mercury rules the 6th and 9th. Rule 8 supports Saturn. Lagna and Artha Lord in own sign stabilizes identity and voice. Rule 9 applies to Mercury. Its sixth lordship would normally disturb, but its simultaneous rulership of the ninth, Kona, grants exemption. This conjunction supports success in law, policy, teaching, or administration. Their aspect on the seventh indicates steady but calculated relationships. Venus in the fourth house, Aries, debilitation, conjunct Mars adds emotional intensity and sensual fire to the domestic space. Venus rules 5th and 10th, Kona and Kendra. Mars rules 4th and 11th. Rule 8 applies fully. Both planets are Kendra or Kona lords. Despite Venus being debilitated, this pairing charges the fourth house with creative and passionate energy. Their aspect on the 10th supports ambitious career pursuits, particularly in real estate, design, or political influence rooted in legacy. Moon in the 5th house, Taurus, exalted, conjunct Jupiter enhances creativity, emotional intelligence, and dharmic vision. Moon rules the 7th. Jupiter rules the 3rd and 12th. Rule 8 supports Moon as a Kendra lord. Rule 9 applies to Jupiter. It rules a trick house, 12th, but also the 3rd. As it lacks Kona Kendra rulership, its influence may slightly disturb unless supported. Moon's exaltation, however, dominates this combination. This conjunction favors intuitive education, spiritual children, and creativity expressed through compassionate service. Sun in the 9th house, Virgo. Conjunct Mercury activates dharma, intelligence, and vocational clarity. Sun rules the 8th, Mercury rules the 6th and 9th. Rule 9 flags Sun and Mercury. Sun is a soul trick lord and may disturb the 9th unless countered. Mercury owns the 6th, but also the 9th, granting partial exception. With the 9th as a Kona house, Mercury's presence uplifts this placement. This conjunction supports competitive learning, technical education, and work related to writing or accounting. Their aspect on the 3rd empowers communication, publishing, and strategic outreach. Mars in the 11th house, Scorpio, conjunct Saturn channels structured energy and disciplined ambition toward goals and social networks. Mars rules the 4th and 11th. Saturn rules Lagna and 2nd. Rule 8 applies. Mars as Kendra Upachaya Lord and Saturn as Lagna Lord. Both uplift. This union benefits long-term planning, financial control, and powerful networking. Their aspect on the 5th fuels productive creativity, strong-minded children, and goal-driven romance, albeit with intensity and delayed fulfillment. Jupiter in the 3rd house, Pisces, conjunct Venus fosters artistic self-expression and spiritual communication. Jupiter rules the 3rd and 12th, Venus rules the 5th and 10th. Rule 9 applies to Jupiter. It owns 12th and does not own Kendra Kona, so it may slightly unsettle the 3rd. Venus, being a pure Kendra Kona lord, uplifts. Their pairing supports creative writing, music, and emotional intelligence in outreach. Their aspect on the 9th supports faith-based education or aesthetic philosophy, but escapism or over-idealism may need balancing. Moon in the 10th house, Libra, conjunct Mercury brings success through emotionally intelligent speech and public clarity. Moon rules the 7th. Mercury rules the 6th and 9th. Rule 8 favors Moon as Kendra Lord. Rule 9 flags Mercury. Though 6th Lord, it gains relief due to 9th rulership. Their pairing in a Kendra house boosts professional roles in media, teaching, law, or healing. Their aspect on the 4th brings emotionally fulfilling roots, often via career-led relocation or recognition. Sun in the 8th house, Leo own sign, conjunct Venus signals refined resilience and depth in transformation. Sun rules the 8th, Venus rules the 5th and 10th. Rule 9 notes Sun as a soul trick lord, which can disturb unless dignified. As it is an own sign here, its effect is moderated. Venus uplifts by ruling Kendra Kona houses. This conjunction enhances research ability, graceful endurance, and charisma in intense or taboo fields like medicine, mysticism, or finance. Their aspect on the 2nd affects speech and earnings through legacy, depth, or inherited power.